So listings are everything. Listings are the only thing that matters. I completely believe that. I believe that unless somebody is just leverage their business with Zillow or something like that completely to the hilt, that they are listing based. So unless you have that agent that's spending 30 or 40 grand a month on leads or something like that, if you see a top producer, that top producer is going to have listings. I did a short podcast with Andrew Flora, who just joined our company the other day, and he's up in Indiana, and he's been with us for about 8 weeks, and he'll be at 17 active listings at the end of the week. He's at like 14 right now. He was inputting two more, and he said he had a listing appointment to go on this week, and I was like, okay, what's your success rate on listing appointments? And he said 100%. He gets every single one of them, which doesn't shock me. That's pretty typical for us. And so I guess here's the thing. If you're a real estate agent right now, you walk into your office. Might be a small office, might be a huge office, whatever. But imagine you're walking into some real estate function or whatever function, and you see hundreds of agents in that building, in that room. What are you going to do to beat them? Because that should be the question. Is okay, I want to make more money next year. I want to do better next year. Well, okay, how are you going to do that? Because you and everybody else in that room wants to make more money next year. I'm going to tell you there's three ways. The first way is to spend more money. But if you're spending more money, then you need to stop talking about what your GCI is, because your GCI doesn't matter. You need to look at yourself like you're a business. Every real estate agent is a small business. And so here's the thing. You could have a GCI of $400,000. But if you're spending 40 grand a month on buyer leads, you lost money. So it doesn't matter how much revenue you have. What matters is how much profit did you make. So option A is to spend a bunch of money. But if you're going to spend a bunch of money, then you need to start keeping track of, this is what I spent, this is what I made. It's not about what you charge. It's not about what your GCI is. How much profit did you have? Trust me, there's been a million companies bigger than you on Wall Street, S&P 500 companies that couldn't make ends meet. They're raking in billions and they're losing money. So that's option number one, is spend more. But you got to make sure your ROI is there. Option number two, work harder. This is spend more time writing your handwritten letters, spend more time cold calling, spend more time door knocking, spend more time doing open houses, spend more time doing all those things. That works. It absolutely works. But you have to ask yourself, person A needs to look at what they actually made versus what they had to spend to make it. Person B needs to look at, how am I valuing my time? Am I actually making a great living right now, considering how hard I'm working? Start keeping track. Like, pretend you're back in high school and you're working a 9 to 5, or you're working an after school job and you're keeping track of your hours. All right, how many hours did I have to spend to find this deal? How much did I have to grind to find this deal? And then the third option is do something different. Offer something that makes the public chase you. And here's what I think real estate agents are unfortunately not trained to do. They're not very proficient at. They're not really equipped to look at those three options and say which one makes the most sense. They're taught option A makes sense, just go buy leads. And I know that they're taught that because I can't open up Facebook without seeing some real estate group where agents are saying, what's the best place to buy some leads? Because I'm going to swipe my credit card and go all in. Okay. And I know that they're being trained to work harder and work harder and work harder, because I see the coaches that are raking in a fortune by teaching agents how to work themselves more. Why isn't anybody out there teaching you how to work smarter? Why isn't anybody out there teaching you how to work different? Every other business in the world is trying to find that unique value proposition. Why aren't you trying to find it? Trust me, a well crafted social media post showing how handsome you are or showing how beautiful you are, that is not a unique value proposition. Okay? It's just not. You being to work more open houses and grind more and spend more time away from your family, that's not a unique value proposition. That's a willingness to suffer. At the end of the day, the reason I chose option number 3 is I like doing deals. I think most agents like doing deals. A lot of people say agents are lazy. I talked to a friend of mine. He's probably the biggest grinder I know. Like this dude will grind for like he lead gens. I don't even name his name. Like he's probably lead genning for 4 or 5 hours a day. Okay. He told me that he's trying to get agents to spend an hour a day, 1 hour a day. And so obviously agents don't love it, because if they love doing lead gen, he wouldn't be doing everything in his power to try to get agents to do 1 hour of lead gen a day. So if agents hate doing lead gen, and I'm right there with you, I don't like doing it either. If agents hate that, then really what it boils down to is, are you going to make yourself suffer through that, or are you going to spend a bunch of money? And if you are a title company or lender watching this, you probably realize how many people choose option B because you get that phone call, hey, will you do some co-marketing with me? Will you do some co-marketing with me? What they mean by that is, hey, let's buy some leads together so that I can send you more business. If you're a lender, if you're a title company, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now. But why not consider option number 3? Because if you're willing to work your butt off and work, I would wager that if you compared what you make per hour to what one of our agents makes per hour working inbound leads, I'd be willing to bet we're probably coming out ahead. And if we're not, it's probably pretty similar, but our agents are a lot happier. And the reason they would be a lot happier is because agents like doing deals. Agents love it. Agents love putting the sign in the ground. Agents love, doing all those things that they signed up to do. Most agents signed up to do deals. They signed up to meet people. They signed up for the rush of listing a house or putting a sign in the ground. What they didn't sign up for is the frustration, the grind more, the work harder, the spend more on leads, the beg for deals, the grovel, the follow up, work your sphere, work your sphere, work your sphere. Like, imagine if you're watching this as an agent right now, imagine if leads just called you. Now you can make that happen. The problem is you need to swipe your credit card to pay for buyer leads. The only way to make it happen with listing leads is to have a reason for sellers to reach out to you. Have a value proposition that they're looking for. Have something that they want. The same reason why all these brokerages that are charging agents less money, why are they recruiting so many agents? Because agents are reaching out to them to join. Why are they reaching out to them to join? Well, because they're going to give me a better deal. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. But I will say this, for the agents that choose to swipe the credit card to pay for a buyer lead, if you look at the amount of time you're going to spend working that buyer lead, let's say the average price home, $420,000, average commission 2.7%, $11,340 is that check coming in. Let's just forget about broker splits. You divide that by about 30 hours worked, and that's probably on the low side. You're making $378 an hour. Sounds great until you figure out how much of that money you got to pay back in referrals, or how many dead-end phone calls. Like, what's your conversion rate? 10%? Paying $200 a phone call? Well, now that $11,000 just turned into $8,500. So now you're at $8,500 divided by 30 hours of work. Now you're making $283 an hour. Okay, it's not awful. That's if you have a 10% conversion rate, but you're sitting there like like a crazy psycho, just waiting for your phone to ring so you can hurry up and answer it first. But here's the crazy thing. You ready? $420,000 house at 1%, that's $4,200. Even if you take 15 hours servicing that listing, you make the same money. So 1% on a $420,000 house is making the same amount of money on an hourly basis that you are. Running around all evening, running around all weekend, showing them houses. The only difference is we didn't have to pay for that lead. That lead reached out to us and said, hey, would you come list my house? The other cool thing about that is, guess what that lead's very likely going to do? Go buy a house. I did an intro call. There's a great company called Intro, and I did one with Chris Heller. He's the CEO of Keller Williams for years. And he told me, he's like, well, every listing you take should lead to at least 2 more deals. I agree. It's pretty accurate. But rather than charge less money to acquire more listings, we want to pay a lot of money to get buyers that aren't loyal anyways, so that we can chase them around and try to keep them happy and hope they close. And then we can work our sphere and hopefully get a referral out of them in the future. That sounds like a lot of work. And I think real estate agents get frustrated and real estate agents get burnt out. But it's not because they're doing too many deals. It's because of what they got to do deals. Like I've talked to agents about what we do, agents that were thinking about joining, and a lot of them have said, oh my gosh, 40 deals, 50 deals. Our top agent did 128 last year as a solo agent, 128 without paying for a lead, without grinding. Do the math. That's a closing every other business day. And she's like, oh my God, they must have been so stressed out. And yeah, crazy busy. But most real estate agents are not really splitting that hair and figuring out, well, why am I stressed out? They're not thinking about it deeply. The reason why they're stressed out is because they're saying to themselves, oh my gosh, the amount of handwritten letters I've got to write, the amount of leads I have to buy, the amount of stuff, the amount of open houses I would have to do that many deals. What they can't fathom is, yeah, I'd have to answer the phone and go list somebody's house because they asked me to please go list their house. They can't even imagine that. Can't even process what that would be like. That's the furthest thing from their mind. Can't even imagine that world. And yet, happens every day. So, I think at the end of the day, moral of the story, the point here is a goal without a plan is a wish. So if you got a goal for this year of my goal is this, start executing a plan for what it looks like to accomplish that. Start looking at, well, how many hours do I need to work if I don't have a competitive advantage, if I don't have an edge, if I don't have some unique value proposition, how much harder do I have to work to find that one deal? How much money do I have to spend to make my phone ring, to go through all the deadbeats that aren't loyal, and I'm paying that $200, $300 a phone call, or I'm paying out them 40% referrals. How many of those do I have to churn through to finally get a closing? And what's the ROI on that? Versus our people, they're like, oh, somebody called me and wanted me to go list their house, so I'm going to go list their house, then I'm going to figure out where they're buying at. They literally called them and said, hey, would you please come list my house? Every single day it happens. Every single day. Is that what you signed up for as a real estate agent? Did you sign up to do deals? Or did you sign up to work? Did you sign up to grind? Did you sign up to be away from your family on nights and weekends? Did you sign up to swipe your credit card and buy more leads? Is that what makes you happy? If so, by all means, walk into the office with 500 agents doing the same thing that they do, thinking that you're so unique and so different, and y'all fight it out. I'm trying to be different, I'm trying to stand out. And it sure does make this whole industry more positive. It certainly feels better. I certainly like it better. Certainly happier. Not dealing with negativity. Not dealing with all that stuff. Give it some thought. Stop thinking about surface level. Start thinking about what it actually takes and what it looks like. I think you'll be shocked at how much easier one path is than the other. Have a great day.